everyone, my name is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel, Worth the Read, where we talk about books that are worth your time reading. Greetings everyone, happy Easter, and to all who do not celebrate, happy Sunday. We're back, and today's video is a book versus the movie. You can see by the title, today's book versus the movie is Moxie by Jennifer Mathieu. This book was published in 2017. I did not read it until this year, and I think after I read it a couple weeks later, I saw that Netflix had made it a movie, and surprisingly, I was thrilled. You guys know that I am very critical of books that are converted into screenplays for movies, and this is the first time, well, not the first time, but the second time that I absolutely loved both the book and the movie. Moxie, I give it 4.5 stars. The movie, I give it 4.5 stars. They were great. Both of the pieces of work were amazing, and I'm going to get into it. Let's start with the book. The main character in this book's name is Vivian. She's a high school junior who lives in Texas, and Texas is known for football. And she lives in a small town where the high school football teams is God. They shut everything down, even though they're not a very good football team. Like, they don't win. So she's a junior, like I said, in high school, but the high school's atmosphere is very toxic masculinity. The boys are allowed to get away with saying very vulgar things to the girls. They get away with touching the girls. They get away with wearing vulgar things written on their t-shirts. They get away with murder pretty much. And Vivian is the kind of person who just wants to keep her head down, focus, and stay out of the attention. She doesn't want to attract any negative male attention, so she just goes along with it. It's just how the school has been. Fortunately, a new student named Lucy enters the school, and she realizes that this is wrong. Like, everything that's going on with the football team and the boys being allowed to treat the women in such a vulgar way, this is not normal. This is not how it should be. So she kind of tries to stand up for herself to realize that she was just shut down immediately. Like, this is how this high school is, and you just have to deal with it. So Vivian decides to start a zine. Her mother was in the punk rock scene in the late 80s, and she used to follow a band, and they used to make a zine, which is like a newsletter. And Vivian decides to make a zine talking about how unfair life is at the high school, and how the girls should stand up for themselves, and they're not alone in feeling judged and mistreated in the high school. And this zine causes a major eruption. And Vivian and her friends realize that they're not alone. They feel like they're not alone in the thought that what the boys, particularly one boy, is able to get away with isn't healthy for them. So in the midst of her starting the zine, she becomes friends with Lucy. And Lucy is from not so rural part of Texas. I think she was from like the city, like Austin or Houston, something. So she was around more diverse people prior to moving to this town. And she's just I don't understand why you guys function like this. I don't understand why you accept this. We should be fighting this. We should be fighting this. And they do that. They fight it quietly, anonymously. Nobody knows that Vivian is the author of the zine. She does 4 volumes of it, and each volume has a call to action, meaning if you support this, come to school with hearts and stars drawn on your hand. If you support the fact that they punish the girls for how they dress, but allow the boys to wear whatever they want, come to school in a bathrobe. if you support this and you have a classmate male who has done something inappropriate to you, let's put this sticker on their car. So she has all these calls to actions and she's fighting this. In the midst of her trying to bring equality to her school, she ends up dating this new guy named Zeph, and they kind of fall in love, but Zeph is 100% down for the cause. He is the only person who knows that she's the author. He kind of stumbles into her in the very beginning of it. But he's down for the cause. He too is not from the area. So he sees the things that are going on, what the boys are allowed to get away with, as kind of inappropriate as well. This book was amazing. I do not want to get into too much details because, you know, guys, I have a hard time not telling you everything. But the book was amazing. I give it 4.5 stars because this was not a YA novel that was not relatable. And let me tell you why. Things like this used to happen in my grade school. And we as girls, I don't know why we didn't say anything. The boys used to walk around with rulers in their socks. And I went to all Catholic schools. Rulers in their socks, and they would smack us on our legs. And, of course, like, crazy things would happen in school. But it was inappropriate. And we never said anything. And it was relatable. It wasn't one of those books where it's just like all these dreadful things are happening and nobody's telling anybody. These girls were actually going to the principal and saying, this is inappropriate, this is happening, this has happened to me. And it gets to the point where there are sexual molestation, there is a rape, and they go to the person in charge and nothing happens because it's the football team. The villain of the story, Mitchell, happens to be the son of the principal. So could you imagine what he's able to get away with in this book? The only reason I did not give this book 5 stars is because at one point in the book, it kind of slows down a little bit. I'm just like, all right, let's pick up the pace. Just a little. The only reason I did not give this book 5 stars. Read the book. It is worth the read. I suggest this book to middle school girl groups preparing to go into high school. I would 100%, if I was still working in nonprofit education, I would 100% have had my girls group read this book for summer camp. It's not boring. It's not a kind of YA novel where the kids are doing all these crazy things and it's just like, where are the adults? The adults are totally in this book. They're just choosing not to address the issues. Read the book. That's all I can say is read the book. It is amazing. There is a lack of diversity in the book, but it is mentioned. It is mentioned the fact that the school is predominantly white. And the school actually has a very successful soccer team, girls soccer team, that does not get any funding. But the losing football team gets all the funding. And this is very prevalent today. This happens. Inequality with sports. We've seen it with the WNBA, NCAA March Madness tournaments, when the girls teams had a gym with just one set of weights and the boys had a whole immaculate workout gym, and they tried to blame it on the fact that there was no space for the girls' gym. Everything that's in this book is prevalent today. Read the book. That's all I want to say. I don't want to get into too much detail. The ending is great. Read the book. And let's talk about the movie. When I tell you Netflix could not have done this better, they could not have done this better. The improvements they made to the book, the things they decided to leave out, the things that they decided to change slightly were all beneficial and was amazing. I could not wait to make this video because I was bursting with excitement because they did a excellent job on this book, on the movie, you guys. Excellent. The change they made, they decided to make the main characters and her friends, Vivian is still a white girl, but they decided to make her friends very diverse. Her best friend Claudine, her best friend is Asian American in this book. I think she's first generation Asian American. Lucy is a Latinx, Afro-Latino. Zeth, instead of him being a white boy, he is also of, I think, Filipino descent. There's a transgender school classmate in this book that is prevalent as a sub main character. There's a lesbian relationship in this book. They made this cast very diverse. They made it realistic to what you would see in a normal high school. And I love the fact that they did that. I love the fact that they did that. There's multiple Afro-American characters. And these aren't just characters that are just thrown in there to say we have diversity. These are main characters. These are people that contribute to the story and have in the substance to the story. Another change they made, the principal is no longer a male. They made it a female. And I like the fact that they made the principal a woman, because sometimes women can also coddle boys. And I think a lot of moms, I'm not a mom, but I see it working in education, that moms tend to coddle their sons, even though they know what their sons are doing is wrong. So making the principal a woman, you had the dynamic of she should be 100% on these girls' side. She should be, fighting the injustice against gender inequality. But she's not. She's just kind of like, is he bullying you or is he harassing you? Because if he's harassing you, I got to do all this paperwork and everything. But if he's just bullying you, we can just talk about it and move it on. She doesn't want to deal with anything. So, I like that they made that change. I like that they made Zeth, which is Vivian's love interest, a minority as well. Because we have plenty of movies where white boy falls in love with white girl. Like, we get it. What else? Other changes that they make? Every incident, every call to action, every bump, or like when Vivian runs into Zeth when she's handing out the zines, and that's when he realizes she's the author. It happened the same way in the movie. Everything that happened pretty much, except for one thing, and they made a change, and I like the change they made. I won't tell you what it is. But everything that happens in the movie, in the book, happens in the movie. They don't leave out major pieces. The purpose of, I say this every video, the purpose of creating a movie from a popular book is because the book was successful. So that you already have the blueprint. Why change it for the movie? And they did not do this. They did an excellent job of just translating this book on screen. Excellent job. By the end of the book, I had goosebumps. I had goosebumps by the end of the book. I had the same goosebumps by the end of the movie. Again, this can be triggering. There is sexual assault that takes place in the book and in the movie. There's gender inequality that takes place in the book and the movie. I liked what they did in the movie when they pitted the captain of the football team, which is Mitchell, and the captain of the girls' soccer team. That wasn't in the book, but it was a good change that was relevant to lead the story along in the movie. These girls come together in the end and form a bond that is amazing, and it's great for young girls to see that it's okay to be friends. It's okay even if we're not in the same clique or group, but we can cross, enemy lines, you say, and be friends because we have this common thread of being women and trying to survive in this world. I cannot say this enough. This movie was amazing. The book was amazing. And if I had 45 minutes to go and just talk about every little detail, I would. I definitely would. Moxie should be on every school reading list in this country. Period. Watching the movie should be on every school's to-do list in this country. Period. That is my book versus the movie. The book, Moxie, versus the movie on Netflix, Moxie. Again, kudos to the author. Kudos to Netflix. I didn't do any research. I can tell the author had a lot to do with the movie because they did not stray. They stuck with the movie, the book with the movie. It was amazing. It was amazing. 4.5 stars all around. If you are one of my family members that are watching this, my internet family, and you have a teenage girl in your family, I suggest you get them the book, get them the Audible. If they don't like reading, if they don't like listening to the books, sit them down and make them watch the movie and have a dialogue, open dialogue about the things that they may encounter. Because this happens. I told you, it's stuff like this happened to me in 8th grade, 7th grade, not even high school. I was blessed enough to be able to have parents that could afford to send me to an all-girls high school, and we didn't have these issues. But, you know, it was amazing. It was amazing. I am currently reading Life After Death, the sequel to Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. I will be doing a video on this. That's all I'm going to say. How are you guys? I hope you're having a great week. The weather in Philly has been crazy. 1 minute is 75 degrees. The next minute is 30. I don't know what's going on, global warming. I just celebrated my birthday. Quick life update. I had a great birthday. You guys remember last year my birthday was kind of shut down because it was the beginning of COVID, and I made the birthday video and I couldn't go anywhere. I had a trip to Mexico I had to cancel and everything. This year I was able to celebrate with my best friends, my family. I went to Vegas and enjoyed my time off of work. I had a great birthday. I hope everybody else who celebrated their birthday in the month of March, it's his Aries season, had a great birthday as well. And that's pretty much it. Peace out from Earth 3.